Oh, it's a cold one out here this week, isn't it? Well, thanks anyways for joining us for another Wildlife Wednesday. Today we're going to talk about this cold, why it's so cold, and some of what animals and plants do to be able to adapt to this cold and survive in it, unlike me. Let's take a look. So when we think about temperature is really just a measure of how fast molecules are moving in the air. So when it's really warm outside, the molecules are bouncing off each other because they have a lot of energy. They're moving really fast. Whereas when it's cold outside, the molecules are moving slowly. And it's denser air. They're not really bouncing off each other as much. Now the reason it is so cold outside right now is because of what's known as the polar jet stream. Now, because it's warming up so much faster in the Arctic, and that's due to a number of different factors, the jet stream is weakening. And that allows all that cold Arctic air to get pushed down into places like Wisconsin here, which is why we have this kind of prolonged lapse of this really frigid air that feels like Arctic air is being pushed down farther, and there's not as much of that difference between the cold air and the warm air down here that keeps the jet stream nice and tight and just circling the Arctic.
It's been really cold lately, and you may think, well, what the heck are the plants and animals going to do? Well, I can help you with some of your questions. First, we'll start out with a species of orchid.
Take a look at that. Wow. It's not the showiest orchid ever, but it is indeed an orchid. And this one, more specifically, is called Downy rattlesnake plantain, or Goodyear pubescens, if you like to use the scientific name.
The orchid that I will show you right now has evergreen leaves. These leaves never fall off. They never die. They stay on the plant year-round.
They never die off in the winter. They'll just stay like this. They'll look exactly the same under 2 feet of snow as they do today in July. And that is something quite special about these orchids.
Even when the sun hits it, just a little bit. Let's say it's 25 degrees outside, but, a beam of sunlight just hits those leaves and warms up those leaves just enough. It'll get the liquid flowing, and as soon as that liquid can flow, photosynthesis will occur. And so these plants are extremely adaptable, and that is why they are able to live so far north, which may be unusual for a plant to have its leaves year-round. But these ones can handle it.
Now, you guys might all be wondering, well, what are the animals going to do? How do they survive in this frigid cold temperature? And a great example is the blackcapped chickadees that are coming over to the feeder and eating all the seeds right now. Now, the blackcapped chickadees, they are a very active bird. They are flying around, buzzing all over the place. That means they have a high metabolism, which means they burn a lot of calories. They have to eat a lot. And in the winter months, they can eat 20 times the normal amount of food they eat as compared to during the summertime. So think of it this way. If you, during the summer, have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, these chickadees during the wintertime, that'd be like you having triple breakfast, lunch, second lunch, double dinner, second dinner, and supper, all in one day. That's a lot of food. But they need that so they can keep their metabolism going and stay warm. That's why they can go through about 3 silos of seeds in just one day. That's wild. Rawr. Now animals like this black bear here have a little bit different technique as opposed to the black-capped chickadees, where they eat a lot of food in the autumn months, right before winter. And once they're eating all that food, that kind of translates into them growing these big winter coats that they use when they're hibernating. So generally bears will have a lot thicker fur in the wintertime than they do in the summertime. And that's kind of like what I've been doing here, is just putting on lots of layers of clothing to keep you warm as you're outside and out and about. Now bears they generally stay hibernated for most of the winter, but they need all that food so they can burn through it as they sleep in the winter, and that also translates into big, heavy fur that they use to keep warm while they're hibernating. Now other mammals, like this here Pulsum, do the same kind of thing, where they eat a lot during the winter and autumn months to maintain that big, fluffy coat of fur. Now, possums don't really hibernate. They will come out during the winter, and as they do, you can kind of tell that they've got bigger, shaggier fur, more layers of warmth to keep them warm as they go foraging for food.
Now, before you guys get outside this winter, especially in this cold, make sure you bulk up. You know, just like the bear, just like the possum, you know, get on a nice little fur hat, get on some thick winter gloves, you know. Do anything you can to stay warm, you know. Maybe eat a little bit more too, you know. Bulk up for the winter. Can't hurt a little bit, you know. Make sure that you are getting outside still. It's cold, it's awful, but it's okay. You can just put on a jacket, put on some gloves, get outside, go for a walk around the block. Enjoy your time out in nature. I think that's just about all for this week. But of course, tune in next week for the next Wildlife Wednesday. And as always,
Stay classy.